when we look at betting, are we really doing the work, or is just hope that we might win? You borrow money, say 50,000, and you bet with that money, hoping you'll win, and you lose it. Was that debt good or bad? You want to be maybe in the social media pages being seen, you have this new ride that you can hardly be able to service the loan. Hi, this is Lilian Gashoki at the couch with Lilian Gashoki. Today's topic, I want us to think, is debt good or bad? And I will say it depends. And I want us to look at first, what is bad debt? And I'll give scenarios. Today, if you go to a financial or even through the mobile, you borrow money, say 50,000, and you bet with that money, hoping you'll win, and you lose it. Was that debt good or bad? At the same time, when we look at betting, are we really doing the work, or is just hope that we might win? But if, for example, you took a debt and that debt was put into business, say you decide to buy some items, say downtown Nairobi, and you sell online, then you're able to get a margin, then that's a good debt. Number two, if you borrow money, another thing I've seen with bad debts, you borrow money without first evaluating the need. Maybe your business just requires, say, 30,000 or even 100,000. Then you go borrow 500,000 to put into a business that requires just 100,000. What does that mean? The fact that you put that money in the business does not necessarily mean the business will generate that amount of revenue for you to repay the debt. Why is that so? Because of market demand. So it's out of the demand that you ensure you only take a debt that the business needs. The other thing that I've seen is that people borrowing to fund lavish lifestyles. You want to be maybe in the social media pages being seen, you have this new ride that you can hardly be able to service the loan. That I classify it as a bad debt, because you're borrowing for show off. To be seen, for example, you have these designer clothes, but when you go back to your own house, you're one of the lonely people that one can never come across, because you're struggling, you're so stressed. And we've also seen poor financial decision, people becoming so depressed. Mental health is a big issue in our country, and part of it emanates from bad debt management or bad borrowing, if I may put it that way. Another bad debt that I've seen is where, for example, somebody borrows in order to go for happy moments. They want to go to this hotel, they don't have money, but when they are there at the time of paying, they want to borrow and pay. And one of the things I asked myself, was that really necessary? Because that's, if one was able to use that money maybe to start something or like a business, and out of the profits, one can be able to treat themselves in terms of going for those restaurants. And there shouldn't be delayed gratification. Sometimes we may save today knowing that tomorrow will be better. So bad debts, and sometimes it can be through the influence. We want to move with the crowd, but I keep on asking myself, when you go back to your house, how does that make you feel? When you're repaying a debt, you're borrowing from one lender to the next in order to fund for life experience without really investing that money. Is that a good spend of money really? And repaying, you keep on borrowing to repay one lender, borrow another to repay the other. Then that becomes a struggle and can be a source of stress. But having said that, Are there good debts? Absolutely yes. And a scenario I like to share is one of the customers that I've worked with before that needed money, was looking at the business and wondering, do I use my own internal resources or do I borrow? And after having a conversation, this lady decided, let me borrow, because the moment I do not supply when I'm required, it means what one loses is reputation. And that was my advice to this particular client. And we started walking the journey, set a limit for this particular client, a Dream Credit Limited. And with that amount, this lady has been able to service orders on time and only borrows money that she actually requires. The other benefit is that through that limit, the business has really grown and actually is in about 3 counties now and still expanding. So debt is good if utilized well. The other bit with a good debt, it could be a debt towards investments. Maybe today, my business, you find I've been using car hire to deliver products, for instance. And one asks, is it better I acquire an asset like a motor vehicle that will be used to transport? So there is good debt that one can leverage on and be able to expand their business or even take their life to the next level. Maybe when one looks at the kind of transport money they use if they are working, then a motor vehicle may make maybe sense, or it could be one buys a vehicle maybe to put it in to transport for additional income. So when debt is used well, it can be a source of benefit towards the person borrowing. So debt is good if it's utilized very well. Don't fear debt, because this can be the leverage that you require to take your business to the next level.